Idaho Matters is brought to you in part by St. Luke's Pharmacy, now offering free home delivery. For daily medications or one time prescriptions, home delivery is easy to set up. It's convenient and safe. St. Luke's Pharmacy, now delivering to your doorstep. Information on how to get started at stlukesonline.org.
So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Cadet. Well, today we're heading to New Orleans, a city where history lingers and stories, well, they refuse to stay quiet. Our guest is Karen White. She is a beloved voice in Southern fiction, and her new novel is The Lady on Esplanade, a story of women and memory and the secrets houses keep across generations. And Karen is joining us now to talk more about this new book. Karen, it is so great to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, Karen, give us a quick synopsis of this new book.
Oh, wow. Because it takes me 400 pages to write something. And I'm sorry,
Right?
I don't know if you can hear the squeaking. My dog has decided to just bring a squeaky toy into my office. But that's appropriate because in the book, we have the main character, Nola Trenham, she's had a troubled childhood, but she has a great family back in Charleston. But after a big hiccup in her life, she's decided to move to New Orleans. She's a recovering alcoholic. And so to show how strong she is to her family, where should she choose to move but to the Big Easy, to prove to herself and to family that she can do it. And she buys a rundown fixer-upper, a Creole cottage to make it her own. And she has a degree in historic preservation, and that's what she wants to do, is restore old homes. But of course, that particular house comes with past residents who are not eager to move on. And in this installment, book number 3, which by the way is written so it can be read independently, we have Nola still at a crossroads in her life. Her non-existent love life is sort of also at a crossroads, and there's lots of different elements going in, but she decides to go into business with her part-time nemesis, who is also a closet psychic, to buy a house on Esplanade. And they are going to start a murder house flip business where they buy houses that are hard to sell because of unsavory events. And so they purchased this old shotgun cat house to start restoring it. But of course, as with most old houses, they come with lingers on, whatever. They're not ready to move on. And in this particular instance, there are 3. And one of them is a very vengeful spirit who is hiding a very dark secret related to the house, and he is desperate to keep it hidden. I think that's all I can say.
Okay, I think that's great. We don't want to give any spoilers away. So, I mean, here you set the book in New Orleans. And I mean, New Orleans is just there. It's a powerful place. I think it's known for so many things, right? So how do you take such a city like New Orleans and shape it into the novel? Because it feels like another character.
It did. Well, and I think that's the thing about New Orleans. It is a character. It is as an important character as the actual living, breathing, speaking people, and living and dead in the book. And I think the settings that I choose, whether it be New Orleans or Charleston or any of the other places, they are places where I have a deep feeling for. I went to Tulane, so I lived in New Orleans for 4 years, and I remember how it affected me. And it is like writing about an old friend when I write about New Orleans. It is everything. It is, it affects all of your senses, and even that sixth sense. So it was just sort of a natural thing to write about it and to explore it in my book as much as all my senses do when I visit.
Okay, let's talk about the house on Esplanade itself, because you really write about the house. I mean, I'm curious about how you approached writing about a house, right? I mean, almost like it's like a living being.
Oh, for sure. I've been obsessed with old houses since I was a little girl. My mother used to laugh because we on the way to the dentist, we would pass like an old Victorian or whatever. I'm like, oh, can we go sit on the porch? Can we ask them if we can go inside? I was just and yeah, I know. And I don't know where it comes from. My father was a huge history buff. And I think old houses and history, I mean, old houses really are time capsules. And I think they contain the memories of not only, the people that lived their lives inside their walls, but also they are sort of spectators of the changing history around them. And I didn't really realize how important this was to me until we moved to London when I was 12 years old. My father's job took us to London, and we lived in a beautiful building that was built in 1903. And I remember studying, World War II history, and learning about, the Blitz and how every night,
Mm,
for over a year, the Nazis bombed London, and how people living in London would have to go find shelter each night. And I remember sleeping and, going to bed in my bedroom and thinking, oh my gosh, somebody who lived in this bedroom, who slept in this bedroom, that was their nightly existence. And that's when I realized how much old houses are like history you can hold in your hands. That it is the past,
mm,
present, and future. And that's why I don't do this on purpose, but not just this series book, but all of my books have an old house, or once I use an old theater to tell as a main character, to tell the story as much as the rest of the characters do.
hmm.
I'm just
Okay.
obsessed. And no, I've never lived in, except for that time in London, I've never lived in an old house. So, but that's not to say I won't.
Well, and let's talk about the supernatural part of this book in particular because it's a really big presence.
Mhm.
How do you write about that? And does it kind of give you more of a creative license because it's the supernatural? Anything could happen.
Absolutely. Yes, creative license. I'm all for that. But I was raised with ghost stories. My father was obsessed with ghost stories. We used to read me true ghost stories before bedtime. I don't know who does that,
Oh,
but I thought he loved me. But um,
wow.
so I grew up thinking it was normal, and I remember, my mother, my father's mother, telling stories about how she'd go hang clothes on the line out in the backyard, and she'd be talking to her mother, who I knew had been deceased for years. So it was
Mm,
something I grew up as that was something natural. Do I see dead people? No. Do I want to? Absolutely not. I'm a scaredy cat. My son, however, has had experiences. So that whole, the whole paranormal world is not something that was strange or new to me. And I wanted to write, it just hit me, when I started planning the first book in my first series, that is sort of the prequel to the Royal Street series. When I came up with my main character, I knew right away that she could see dead people. And
mm.
because I think that's just such a way of seeing the world. And also, again, I'm obsessed with time travel. And it's a way to time travel, isn't it? To speak to somebody who
Yeah.
comes from a different era. If you want to know the history of a place, and talk to somebody who lived it. And I guess that sort of it was a shortcut for me to explore, the different characters and what they were going through, and also, to give clues into some of these really cool mysteries, because I love history mysteries. Uh, they're solvable. You just have to put on your thinking cap and dig a little bit into the past, which I love.
Mm. Well, I have to tell you, I am obsessed with like the paranormal as well, but I don't ever need to see a ghost. Thank you so
No,
much.
no, no,
Um,
no, no. No, no.
right?
Just read about
It,
them.
right. I mean, I think that's so interesting that you're the same way because I am. I mean, I love a good ghost story. I like reading about about that. Even, like haunted like homes and buildings. That's great. Don't ever need to live in one. Don't ever need to stay in one.
No,
Um,
thanks.
but but what do you think it is that fascinates people about that?
And part of it, I think, and it's a thing, the reason why, thrillers, movies are so popular, because people, there's something that we are ingrained with, the need to be petrified, because it's
Mm,
somehow, and I can't remember the reason, but I think it had something to do with, it helps us look at our own lives in a positive way. Like, oh, our lives aren't nearly as crazy or scary as what's going on the screen. And it's a very cathartic way to get rid of those emotions and, that anxiety. So yeah, I think that's part of it. And again, I think the other part of it is I think most of us, especially if you're a history buff, are so curious to know about people from the past. Were they like us, or were they completely different? Um, and I think, to be able to live, not live. What kind? I guess you're living. They're not
kind of.
live in the same space as somebody who lived 100, 200, 3, however many hundred years ago. I think it's just fascinating. And I think it's just something that most of us are very curious about. That's why we read time travel, or, that's why look at the
Hmm.
popularity of Outlander. I mean, there's a
Right.
reason for that. Absolutely.
So, for folks who are a first-time reader of your book and they pick up the Lady on Esplanade, what
Mhm.
are you hoping that they get from this book?
I think especially Nola, my protagonist, she's so flawed, but she's so likable because she is like us. None of us,
Mm,
we are all bowls of jello inside, regardless of the external confidence that we exude. And I think my readers really gravitate towards Nola because they're like, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. Um, and she makes mistakes, she fumbles, but she always gets up again. And that tends to be the kind of characters I love to create. And those are the characters that I think really are uh, my readers really respond to,
mm.
because she is so much like us or who we want to be.
And before I let you go, are you working on anything new that you can talk about?
I am working on the next book in the series. And yeah, not sure when it's going to come out quite yet. Hopefully, fall of 2026, if not, definitely 2027, because I have to write the thing first. So, but
Well,
I'm
yeah.
excited. I've already written about a third of it, and I love this storyline and this mystery. And I love to see the relationships that are sort of, very fractured in the lady. By the end of the Lady on Esplanade, we start seeing them come together in really new and
Oh.
unexpected ways.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. We've been speaking with author Karen White about her latest novel, The Lady on Esplanade. It is out now. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Make sure you check out our podcast feed because you can find more episodes of topics that might be interesting to you. And for more local news and headlines, make sure you subscribe to the Connector podcast. Are you subscribed to this Idaho Matters podcast yet? Make sure you're following so you never miss an episode. Hi, Idaho Matters podcast listeners. If you're on your smartphone right now, or if you have it nearby, I wanted to pop in to tell you about something to check out. Boise State Public Radio is now on Nextdoor. Here's what that means: trusted local news, thoughtful reporting, and stories from across Idaho right along your neighborhood updates. If you already have the Nextdoor app, you're halfway there. Just search Boise State Public Radio and hit follow.